All right, so now we're going to try to capture three shots on the 7-iron. We're going to go up in the bag from the wedges like we did before, and we're going to do 7-iron and we're going to do 5-iron. A little bit higher ball speeds, a little bit further distances. Let's see if the carry differences can stay pretty close between the two devices. All right, first one with the 7-iron here. Felt like pretty good contact. Both devices did register that. All right, so we're seeing just a slight fade on the MLM2 Pro with a carry distance of 170 yards. And we're seeing just a very tiny draw on the Foresight GC2 ball flight with a carry distance of 175.2 yards. So about 5 yards off now that we're getting out there a little bit further. All right, so we missed the second shot with the GC2, so let's hit another one here. Felt like pretty good contact. Looks like both devices picked it up. I think we're going to see pretty similar ball flights here. Looks like the MLM has it just with a very tiny draw and a carry number of 175. And then the ball flight looks to be the same on the Foresight, just barely a slight draw of the center line there. And the carry was 179.7. So again, just under 5 yards off. All right, let's see if we can hit one more here. That's really thin contact. Obviously going to be out to the right. Both devices did pick it up. And both seem to be showing similar ball flights. Just kind of a simple fade, really a slice out to the right. All right, so we had 169 carry on the MLM2 Pro that time versus 168.4 on the Foresight GC2 side. So that's one of our probably closest shots. Like it's almost dead on. All right, so now we're gonna capture 3 shots with the 7-iron with my regular Vice Pro Plus ball. All right, looks like both devices captured that. So we are gonna have a registered shot here. I think they've both kind of started off to the left on the ball flight there. All right, so we're looking at 184 yards of carry on the MLM2 Pro with that shot. And then on the Foresight GC2, we're looking at 183.1. So unlike the wedges, the 7-iron on this first shot with a regular ball seems to be really close. All right, let's try to get another one here. All right, both devices registered that one, so that'll be our second registered shot. I think they both kind of ended up a little bit left of the center target line there. All right, so ball flights on that shot look pretty good, about the same. We had 190 yards of carry on the MLM2 Pro versus 189.1 yards of carry on the GC2. So another, like, both shots that we've hit with the regular ball on the 7-iron have been really close, within a yard on carry distance. All right, hopefully we can get a third one that close as well. Felt pretty good. Both of them registered that shot. We'll say that this looks like the Foresight probably had a little bit of a draw to it, whereas the MLM2 Pro just kind of shows more straight ball flight. All right, so the ball flight's a little bit off on this one. The MLM2 Pro was kind of straight on the ball flight, whereas it had a little bit of a draw on the Foresight. We did get 185 carry on the MLM2 Pro though, versus the 187.5 carry on the Foresight GC2. So again, with this distance, 2.5 yards off on carry between the 3 shots that registered. We're probably averaging out somewhere around, a little over a yard of difference. So that's a really good sign. All right, so here's the first shot with the 5-iron. Felt pretty good. Probably gonna get out there like 190 to 200 because we're set at sea level. Normal carry for a 5-iron for me is usually like 205 to 215 ish. All right, so they both had similar ball flights. They kind of just basically showed just a little bit of a straight push to the right on both of them. We had 181 of carry on the MLM2 Pro against 186.4 on the Foresight GC2. So, you know, we're about 5.5 yards off on that shot. To the second one. It's going to be thin, probably to the right. I think both devices picked it up, though. I love that it always kind of picks up my poor shots. All right, looking at pretty similar ball flights. You know, again, just kind of thin contact, just kind of with a fade to the right, a little less distance. So we got 175 carry on the MLM2 Pro against 175.8 on the GC2. So again, I think we had a poor shot before, and the distance was really close like that. So yeah, so we're within a yard on that second shot with the 5-iron there. Try one more here. Draw. Okay, contact was a little bit thin on that, but at least both devices did pick that one up. All right, so we had really identical ball flight paths that time. It's basically kind of just a straight draw on both. I think the distances are really close. We had 193 carry on the MLM2 Pro with 193.7 showing on the Foresight GC2. So again, we got another ball that's almost out there 200 yards, and we're not even a yard apart on carry distance between these two devices. All right, so the regular gamer ball on the 7-iron did really, really well. Hopefully that continues with the 5-iron. So we're going to hit shots with a 5-iron and try to get 3 comparable shots that we can compare the data on with the regular Vice Pro Plus ball. So let's see what we get. Here's shot 1 with the 5-iron. It's a little bit fat on the contact. It does look like both devices registered it though. All right, so on this first shot with the 5-iron, we had 189 to carry and pretty much a straight ball flight on the MLM2 Pro, whereas the Foresight read that, I mean, it was a fat shot, so, I mean, it tends to kind of go left when that happens. So I think it read it correctly, and it kind of has a pretty decent, good-sized draw to the left. Because of that, most likely in that spin, we got more distance out of it. So the distance is off on this one a little bit. So yeah, so we got 200.1 yards of carry on the Foresight GC2 versus the 189 here. So we're about 11 yards off, but I think if we maybe get similar ball flights, kind of like we did on the 7-iron, we might come up with a similar carry number. All right, so here's shot 2. That's thin contact to the right, probably. Both devices got it. All right, yeah, so I think we've seen a little bit similar ball flight here, and so the carry number is really close as well. So, I mean, the MLM2 Pro has it kind of just with a straight push to the right. Really, there's no fade or slice on it, whereas the GC2 kind of had it more as it was a push to the right, but it had a little bit more fade because it's reading the side spin with this regular ball. But then we've got 191 yards of carry on the MLM versus 190 on the GC2. All right, so let's see if we can get that third shot recorded here. Off to the right. Yeah, looks like both of them did grab that one. Pretty similar flight paths. All right, so again, I pushed that one to the right. You had pretty similar ball flights on this third and final shot that we registered with the 5-iron. The MLM2 Pro had it at 194 carry, whereas we had 195.3 on the Foresight GC2. So similar ball shapes, ball flights. I feel like it does a really good job as far as like the 7 and 5 iron, as far as getting really close to the carry distance. All right, so that's going to conclude our demo today for the irons, the 5 and the 7 iron. Real quickly, we're just going to go through the data, and I do have like it compared to what we saw with the wedges. So if we look at it real quick, obviously we're still getting really good average numbers with the RPT ball. I mean, this is kind of what that unit's designed for. It's just unfortunate that it is locked behind the premium subscription, but for the price point of $700, you know, you're getting a really good unit that gives you accuracy levels that is going to rival some of the, you know, $3,000 and $4,000 units in the market right there. Now, one thing I did find interesting with the data is that, you know, I felt like as we went up in the bag with the regular ball, not the RPT ball, that we were probably going to get a little bit bigger as far as distance and average between the two units. But that really wasn't the case here. And I think what really lent to that was that the shot shape seemed to be quite similar on some of those shots. Basically, if it's not reading a whole lot of side spin to the left or to the right, I feel like if it's just kind of seeing it as just a slight draw or slight fade, and the ball flight's kind of matching up, I think then the MLM2 Pro is just going off of, you know, obviously launch direction, launch angle, and then ball speed, and I think that calculation then ends up coming out much closer in carry distance. So yeah, it was very promising to see that with the 5 and the 7 iron, with the further carry distances, with the higher ball speeds, that even with the Vice Pro ball, you know, we stayed relatively closer than we did with the wedges. So, all right, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching another video. You know, leave me some comments or questions down below if you have any on this launch monitor or anything else. Gonna try to get up the driver video here shortly, here in the next day or two, and then we'll have comparative data as far as across the entire bag, and also kind of just a little bit of my final thoughts on this little comparison challenge that we're doing. All right. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one.